Alright, my name is Tony Thrifts, aka Tony Logan, and my Instagram is Tony Thrifts, and I am the creative director for City Code Studio, and I'm also a personal stylist.
Okay, we just gonna get right into the questions. What inspires you?
What inspires me? I'm inspired by stories. I'm inspired by conversations, because I think conversations can lead to some of the best ideas. I feel like conversations can lead to the best design. I feel like the stories, through conversation can lead to just curiosity. That's what I like. That's why I love going to cafes, because that's when you're able to have the most honest and realest conversations that inspire me to later go on and do something based off a conversation or interaction I have with somebody.
And what's the last thing you created?
Last time I created, the last thing I created was a City Code Studio tote bag. Yeah, with the wife last night. So we been making some product just for the studio for our open house. So yeah, that was the last thing. Was a City Code tote bag.
Yes, sir. And what makes you emotional?
What makes me emotional?
Yes, sir.
Man, deep. What makes me emotional? I think being emotional is a good thing for the record. So I think what drives emotion is something that can stir us and also motivate us. So what makes me emotional is I think it goes back to stories and conversations with people. Like hearing people's perspective on life can make me emotional in a good way, because I can either take inspiration from someone's story and really apply it to my life, or hearing people at the lowest of the low can give me empathy in a way that stirs me up. I drive off emotion, but I like to use it to for good. I like to use it for a bigger purpose. So hearing people's stories always makes me emotional.
That's great, man. What the last time you were genuinely happy?
Last time I was genuinely happy,
like you were doing something and you took a moment and you were like, I'm happy right now.
I think with me and my wife got coffee last week. It was like last Sunday at this new cafe in Falls Church, and just sitting there, and I was like, wow, man, I'm genuinely happy, because it's just a moment where I'm not worried about work, I'm not worried about bills, I'm not worried about what's the next thing I'm going to create. I'm just in the moment, having a conversation with my wife and having coffee. I think, again, cafes for me are just places where, for me, I just tap into my higher self, because there's no distractions at the end of the day.
Right.
Even though there's a lot of things going on in the cafe, in that moment when I'm having coffee and I'm having a conversation, I'm really locked in. If you really want to get me locked in, you gotta take me to a cafe. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way I'm really that's the truest version of myself, because the conversations that me and my wife have at cafes are like therapeutic. We talk about how you've been feeling this week, what's been working this week, what's something that's been driving us crazy. So it's that moment. And when you're drinking coffee, at least for me, you're not worried about how much money you got in the bank. You're not worried about who did you dirty. You literally just in the moment and just like, man, I'm enjoying this conversation. I'm enjoying this coffee. Nothing else matters. That's wealth. When you're not really worried about anything and you're just present in the moment.
Yes, sir. That's beautiful. What is one thing you learned about yourself recently?
What's one thing? Man. I learned that no matter what, whether you are doing something out of purpose or whether you're doing something willingly, like I'm trying to force my will against something to make something happen, it's both work at the end of the day. A lot of times people think when they're doing something out of their purpose that it's going to be easy. Like, I found out what my purpose is, and all the doors are just going to magically open and life is going to be great. Versus when you don't know your purpose and you're trying to will yourself to make something happen. Like, I'm gonna make this business happen no matter how tired I am. And what I realized is just that I'm in a season where I am acting out of purpose. But even when I'm acting out of purpose, it's still work. But it's a different kind of work. So I'm realizing now, having the conversation earlier, that I've been tired lately, but it's a different kind of tired when you're working out of purpose versus when you're just working and trying to willingly force yourself to make things happen. Like I don't live in that. You know, you just got some people that are like, man, I'm gonna make it happen. I don't subscribe to that anymore, because the thing is that, going back to a Bible verse, I can do all things, but not all things benefit me. I'm not trying to force anything on anyone at this point in my life. If I act out of my purpose and I'm doing what I'm called to do, it's still work.
Right.
But the thing is, that work feels different. The tiredness of you doing it feels different. The fulfillment you feel feels different. So I learned that, you know what, even when you're doing something that you're called to do, it's still a lot of work. Sometimes it feels so similar to something like that you were called out of, that just like, man, I thought doing this was hard. This is hard too. But you realize that even though it's hard, it's a different type of, you know, feeling. So I realized that, you know what, I'm tired, but I'm tired in a different way, in a good way. And I realized this season that it's okay to be tired when you're doing something out of purpose versus I'm just trying to will my way to make things happen, because you just drain so much of your talent, your gifts, and your blessings when you're trying to force something to happen. I don't feel like we need to force anything to happen. That's just me in my life.
I would be inclined to agree with you, sir. But you were talking about the seasons and the season of your life. What would you title this chapter of your life, if you could?
It's a season of nakedness. It's a season of not knowing. I already knew, like, when we started, like, when we opened up the studio, I always said, man, God put in my heart that you're going to be in a season where you're not going to know. And I think he told me that for a reason, because, like, when I don't know, I shut down. That's, you open up a business, you might have just told me to do algebra 2. I'm not great at math. I'm shutting down. But God told me that when you're in a season of not knowing, don't stop seeking me. So that was the thing that I really had to understand, that I'm in a season of just like being very transparent, not just with people, but just myself. Like, I don't have all the answers. It's okay not knowing something at the end of the day. So I'm in a season of full transparency, which I love, because I'm not faking. I'm not trying to be someone. I'm not being like, man, this is what you need to do. I don't know. You know, so I'm figuring it out in real time, the same time as other people figuring it out. And I'm okay with that. Like, because then you got to be dependent on God at the end of the day. And that's what he wants anyway, for us to be dependent. So that season where God said, you're going to be in a season where you don't know, he's letting me know that, but you're going to have to really lean on me, because everyone has 100 ideas on how you should do something. Like, oh, you should do this. And it's just like, God's like, listen, I ain't telling you that. That person told you that. So you go that person's way if you want to, but if you really want the grace, and if you really want the, you know, what I got for you, you're going to have to do it my way. But you have to be dependent and knowing that you don't know how it's going to, you're not going to know everything. And that's part of the journey. Because if we knew everything, then we can be like, yeah, I know how to get there. I don't want to go that way. But when you don't know, you really got to be dependent, and have a heart posture of just knowing that God's leading me somewhere. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being led. There's a lot of people, again, some people want to be leaders and they want to carve their own lane. No disrespect. I love it. But I'm in a season where I want to be spiritually led. Because if God ain't in there, I ain't going in there. You know what I'm saying? So this whole building, I said, God, listen, I'm down to do something, but only if you're there. Because if you're not there, I don't want to be in it. That's just me.
Amen. What is one time where you actively listened to yourself? Like you had an idea or you had a plan and you were like, this is what I'm going to do, or the opposite, where you had an idea and you thought it was a bad idea. You ignored it.
So I think the plan, I think again, like, this was this studio, like, having the idea, but it was really my wife who really was just like, you need to act on that. Because I could talk myself out of something just because I'm like, I think I want to do that. But then when the logistics come and you start doing numbers, you're like, does it even make sense to do this? You know, how do you even do this? It's going back to that season of not knowing. But something told me inside that just like, you need to do something that's gonna be bigger than you. Like this whole thing here, this is not even me, because at the end of the day, we just a steward of what God's given us. So this doesn't just benefit us, it benefits the community. And that's why I knew this was something I need to do, because a lot of times when we do like a business, it just, we're the only one that benefit from it. Like, your customers don't even benefit from it. but you can sustain because it's benefiting you. When you're doing something that you're thinking outside of yourself, and you're like, you know what, this not only benefit me, but it's going to benefit people who never been to Frederick Spirit. People who may be here may realize like, oh, we can have something like that here, and just create a space for people that's bigger than you. That's why I knew I was like, okay, maybe this is something that we can do. But my wife really had to convince me and break it down, because I could just talk myself out of it, just like, you know, I don't know, how does that make sense, you know? So I think this space was something that I was like, you know what, let's try it. Let's take the leap and do it. There's been plenty of times I did something, talked myself out of something that I was like, man, I should have did that, you know? And I can't think of them. But I do remember this one.
It wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, that's what that means.
Do you think that there's anything more important than coming in first place?
Do I think there's anything more important than coming in first place? Like being first?
Or being the best, or, you know what I'm saying, just being the top of the top.
Oh, you know what? No, I feel like being the first place is relative, like, to me. Because my thing is just that we all running different races at the end of the day. So, you know, if second place is a place, if I got second place, I didn't have to compromise myself.
Right.
I didn't have to, you know, sabotage someone else's success, or I didn't have to, you know, just kind of just impact somebody else in a negative way. Coming in second place, I'd rather be in second place at the end of the day. You know, because I feel like first place is good, but like, what do I have to give up? Oh, I don't want to be first place. I have to compromise myself. I have to compromise others at the end of the day, because I'm the one that said I look myself in the mirror at the end of the day. That medal ain't gonna speak for me. You know, my character at the end of the day, knowing that I sabotaged someone else. Right. I'm gonna be in second or third place, man. Like my thing is just y'all in a different race. You know, so that just goes back to status. You know, what does status mean to you can be something totally what it means to me. You know, what means to be wealthy. For me, what wealth is just having time and flexibility to be with family, be with friends, and not have to do something that you don't want to do at the end of the day. You know, you have the freedom to say, no, you know, I could do that to make more money, but no, I'm okay. You know, and that's just unheard of now, just in the culture that we in, because we always want to maximize every opportunity. But sometimes we don't realize that we really do got it good until we sabotage ourselves, and then we realize, man, I really had it good when I was just doing this. You know, you can't be everything to everybody at the end of the day.
But that's why I asked, because I feel like a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, they strive to be the best, or they'll compromise themselves, or, you know what I'm saying, whatever, just to be, or just to say that they're, you know what I'm saying, at the top of whatever craft, or, you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Just you know, just for bragging rights, but at the end of the day, bragging rights doesn't really, you know, number one, it just doesn't hold longevity, and number two, doesn't speak to your character at the end of the day, because I truly think that you can be the best, and there are a lot of opportunities where you can be number one and you can still be a person that has good character, has good values. I think it happens more times than not than we give it credit for, but there's just as much people that just will do anything to say I'm the best at this, but the character is off, like their values are off. And I'm a person of character. If I don't rock with you, I don't even have to announce that I don't rock with you. I just won't rock with you. You know, I still love you, but you know what I'm saying? I don't have to, you know, downplay you in order, you know, to lift myself up. That doesn't make sense. Right. But I just think you really get to a lot by a person's character. And people who really make the impact, they don't always get their just due. They're not always in the newspaper, they're not on TV, they're not, you know, they can be everyday people. But to me, that's amazing though. You know,
not all heroes wear capes.
Not all heroes wear capes. Exactly, bro.
Just a couple more questions. What are your thoughts on self-love?
Oh yeah, self-love is important. Self-love is important because I think if you don't have self-love or you don't love yourself, you really can't love anybody else. Because that's the thing. If we don't love ourselves and want the best for us, how could I ever want that for somebody else? Because I never experienced it. And the thing is, we think self-love is selfish, but that's because it is in a good way. There's nothing wrong with being selfish in that way, because, again, if you don't have self-love, man, you really don't get to experience what true love is, because when the best way I could put it is, if I really love myself, right, and I take time to really get to know myself, be alone by myself, get to figure out what I like, what I don't like, you know, really making sure that I'm a person of integrity. When I meet my wife and I'm happy with my wife, I'm first happy with myself. You know, so my wife can only compliment what I already have at the end of the day. She don't create the happiness. She just compliments the happiness that I already have. Mm-hmm. And when you meet with someone that compliments the happiness that you already have, why wouldn't you want that with somebody else? So now if you're happy and you found someone, if you seen that ex who did you dirty and now you see them dating somebody else, you're like, man, I hope they can experience what I got now. Because this is so good. Even though you did me dirty, I still want this for you.
Right.
So my thing is that when you're happy with yourself, you want other people to have it, but the process of that is you gotta want it for yourself. Mm. You gotta enjoy yourself. Self-love is important, and that requires you spending time with yourself. Because you'd be surprised how many people spend so many time with other people that they spend more time with other people than they do themselves. Mm-hmm. And that's why you're in a relationship that's not beneficial, that doesn't benefit you, that don't pour into you, because you can't pour into someone else that you don't have, and you only can pour. That's why I'm like, self-love for me, for example, is waking up praying. Because God pours into me, so now I'm able to pour into other people. Mm-hmm. So that's self. I do that for myself, not for anything else. You know what I'm saying? So if I have that time with God and He's really, let me know, man, Tony, man, you've been wrestling with this, man, or man, you gotta let this go at your heart. Like, by the time I'm done out that prayer room, bro, I'm such a much better person for myself, and then my wife can receive the benefits of that because I'm doing it for myself. I'm not doing it for her. Yeah. I'm really doing it for me, but she benefits off it because I'm doing it for me. Because I love myself enough to know, like, before I expose myself to the world, I know I need 30 minutes of prayer time because I don't know what I'm going to counter that day. I love myself enough to know, let me give myself that time to have that grace and that quiet time that I need. Because once I jump on the world or once I jump on social media, I'm not going to have that same quiet time. So I love myself enough to give myself that, every day. It's not 30 minutes every day. Sometimes, like, if I'm got to be somewhere early, it might be 15 minutes. Mm. But I know what, either way, I love myself enough, I got to give myself that prayer time, man. That's
beautiful. How do you define style, being a creative director? Like, how do you determine that?
Oh, style is just a reflection of your taste at the end of the day. I think you first start with your taste, and you develop your taste by developing a taste palette. It's like music. People who got good taste in music usually have a diverse taste palette. They like not only hip hop, they like jazz, they like, old rock and roll, they like old 70s soul music. Like, taste is all about what you're exposed to, and once you get that exposure, you're like, oh wow, I like that. There's a certain aesthetic that goes with certain taste levels. You talk about cigars, you talk about coffee, like there's an aesthetic that goes with that. Mm-hmm. So with style is just a reflection of how diverse your taste level is. So when you see people dressed and they're like, man, he got the wallabies on, man, but he also got, the old rugby, sweater on, but he also have like an old bucket hat. That's taste. Mm. That's that person. But taste, is now developed to style, and style is what transformed to fashion. So for me, I like as a style, it's just about what I expose myself to, and it comes from music for me, because I think if your taste level is good in music, your taste level is good in everything. That's just for me, because people who got a good ear for music, it's an aesthetic that goes with that, and I'm not like, wow, man, that's some old John Coltrane right there. That's an aesthetic right there. Right. You think of like Jill Scott, you think of Erykah Badu, you think of like, Tribe Called Quest. Like every one of those, they all have a unique sound that creates an aesthetic. We think of Wu-Tang, we thinking of Tim Boots, oversized camo. It's an aesthetic with that, you know what I'm saying? So my style is just only a reflection of my taste level when it comes to music and art that you're exposed to. That's why I love watching documentaries, man, because I'm like, once I watch something, I'm like, I get intrigued and I learn more about that. Now I'm exposed to that, and then my taste just gets better, because like I'm like, wow, man, that's how you get the perfect espresso. You do this, and like, okay, you know what I'm saying? That's a vibe. That's a style. You know what I'm saying? Right, so right. I think it's about style is a reflection of your taste. And when you see people, again, not to knock anyone, some people you can just see, you like, yo, man, you a reflection of the last Instagram post you saw, man. You know what I'm saying? Because the way everything is like, yo, come on, man, that's from that. You know what I'm saying? That's from that post, Right. And then there's some people, and I'm just like, wow, her taste is impeccable, yo. How did she put that together? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy, So it's all reflection. You know, at the end of the day, what you're supposed to. At least that's what it is for me.
And who's in your playlist right now? What's your favorite song?
Man, I go back and forth, man. My favorite song.
If you had to choose one to listen to for 7 days straight.
Oh, 7 days straight. Dang, man, it's definitely a jazz record. I can tell you that right now. It's probably Miles Davis. Never Ended My Mind. It's a ballad, but it's so peaceful and so chill. I feel like that song sums up. It's just a song that I feel like it sums up my life. It starts off so simple and then the middle is so intricate, but then it's like so like it's. To me, it's a perfect record to walk around in New York on a spring day with a cup of coffee when you want to think about life. That's the best way I can put it. If you want to think about life and like, man, I want to think about where I'm at in life and how I feel, put on Miles Davis, Never Ended My Mind, some AirPod, and walk around Central Park, and you will have, I guarantee you, by the time the record ends, you're going to be like, wow, I never thought about that. Whatever you're trying to figure out, by the time that record is done, you have the answer.
That's cool.
I never explained it that way before, but that's how I feel, bro. Every morning when I'm in here, I play that record, no matter what. Like it sets the tone, man. So I would say Miles Davis, man.
Okay, last question. Last question. If you have any words of positivity or you know what I'm saying, motivational words for any creative directors or artists out there trying to get out there, what would you say to them?
I would say to always. I mean, man, I feel like I'm preaching, man. But for me, I feel like I always just pray, or like pray to have a heart posture to know what you're called to do, and pray for the courage to act on it. Because again, I feel like everyone's called to something. And I say heart posture because heart posture, for those who don't know, is like, this is a heart posture that's ready to receive, right? It's also a heart posture where you're submitting, like I'm submitting and I'm surrendering, right? We don't, when you're coming to somebody and you're surrendering something, you now allow God to say, okay, God, this is the way I want to do it, but I want to do it your way, so I'm surrendering what I wanted to do, and I want to do it your way, right? So when you pray, just like, yo, pray for a surrender. Like, yo, I want to have a heart posture that you can help me recognize what my purpose is. Everyone has a purpose. We just don't recognize it at the end of the day. And that's the sad part, because you do have people right now who are successful, and they're not even acting in their purpose. And the thing is, you can be successful. You can be successful not acting in your purpose. I'll tell you straight up, you can. You know, but the thing is, you won't be fulfilled. And if you really want fulfillment, and you really want to act in your purpose, you gotta say, look, what is my purpose? Help me see what you see me. Help me see what you put in me originally. Miles Monroe said it perfectly. Purpose, what you're called to do, was the first thing you thought of.
Who was that? Who said it?
Miles Monroe. He passed away, but man, I still listen to old sermons with him. He said, you were created to do the first thing you thought of. Now, a lot of people don't remember, man, what did I want to do when I was young? No one knows, because you can't remember. Because by the time you had that idea, everyone told you, oh man, but you're really good at basketball though. Oh man, you're really good at, and it's the first thing you had when you were young. So you really got tapped into that childlike and said, man, God, what did you put me here for? So I would say you gotta pray about it, and then He'll reveal it, because everyone has a purpose. Again, people don't act in their purpose because they want money, or they just want this. And I said, you know, and I said you can't have money when you act in your purpose. You will, but you won't have fulfillment if you don't act in your purpose. That's why it's so dangerous, because when you don't act in your purpose, you're gonna self-sabotage yourself all the time. Meaning, you're getting this and you're getting that, or you're not being fulfilled, and then you're like, well, this ain't working. You can do something different. Versus when you know what you called to, it don't matter what season of life, when you got it, and season of life when you don't got it. We all want to go through seasons either way. Whether you always want to go through season when you got it, and season that you don't got it. The difference is when I'm acting in my purpose, even when I'm going through a season where I don't got it, I know where I'm still going. When you don't have purpose, you don't know where you're going.
Yeah, I've definitely been there for sure.
So I don't got it, and I don't know where I'm going.
Dang.
That's a dangerous life to live, man.
That sounds dangerous.
It sounds, because then you just going in circles. So I'll tell everyone, man, pray with your purpose, and then have the faith to act in it. Because then once it's revealed to you, and he tells you this is what I want you to do, this is what you're called to do, now you gotta have the faith to actually act on it. And that's the second part. Some people know what their purpose is, but they're afraid to act on it because they don't know how it's possible. And that's the part, man, you gotta give it to God. Like, listen, God, you called me to be this. Help me to act on it, you know, help me take the first step. We don't have to have it all figured out. I don't have it all figured out. I don't even know what this means today. You know what I'm saying? But tomorrow I can have the enlightenment from God that tells me everything what it is. But I'm still at the end of the day. So we just gotta slowly get there, man. Don't let anybody else, you know, run your race for you or tell you how you should run it. You really gotta tap in, man, and be like, listen, what am I here to do? And then give me the faith to act on it, man, because you living in the world, man, where people tell it's so scary, bro. I can't even imagine, like, I really can't. My heart goes out to anyone, man, who lives that way, because there's no sustainability there at the end of the day, and there's no fulfillment there. And so that success means nothing. Success is relative at the end of the day. I'd rather know that, you know, I'm living a life that I'm called to do, and I'm able to take care of my family and not compromise anyone else. Might not be on the Forbes list, but I'm able to come home, you know, and say, God, I'm doing exactly what you want me to do. I can look myself in the mirror. My wife can say, yo, my husband is doing what he needs to do, and not at the expense of anyone else, and I got fulfillment, versus and making crazy cash and not caring about anyone. Like, man, I got that bag, though.
Right.
Because people don't realize.
That's typical.
Because people always say, man, they don't respect you, man, because you got money. No. People don't respect people who got money, who are jerks. People tolerate people who got money. Because the moment they do them wrong, then they gone. Oh, I don't care how much money he got. He ain't gonna treat me this way. Like I'm saying.
Exactly.
But when people got money, they tolerate you, you know, to a certain degree. But I don't want to be that. You know, that's nowhere in my goals, man. I gotta wake up and live myself each and every day, bro. So I'd rather have a peace of mind knowing that, listen, this is what I called to do today. You know, what are my steps? And that's what it is, man.
Last question. What is next for Tony Logan? I know you say you about to do the open house in the next year and a half. What do you want to accomplish?
Man, that's a good question. Man, that's a good question. Man, I want to accomplish whatever God wants me to do, man, at the end of the day. I really want City Code to be just a space, man, that can just be a space where the creators can get together and build. But I want to get more into continue to work with the youth. You know, I mean, that's what I do now, man, just working with the youth aside from here. And I also want to just, you know, I don't know, man, you know, just continue to learn. Just continue to learn, man. Always be a student. I definitely want to travel more. You know, again, you know, that exposure. Exposure is so important because when you're exposed to different things, you just unlock potential in you because now you see something different. So traveling is something that I want to do more of this year, and just, you know, continue to build, man, with City Cove. You know, do more merch, do more, you know, events that bring people together. You know, and yeah, man, I say travel and learn, man. Travel and learn, you know, and just keep connecting with good people, man. You know, that's a legacy I want to leave, you know, at least knowing that, you know, we played a part in somebody's story at the end of the day. Because we all are part of a bigger story. So to know that I played a small part, whether it's inviting somebody in for a cup of coffee or just someone in here and they just create $1 billion business idea just from being in the space, dude, that's amazing to me. I was like, yo, that's all I need, man. And to be able to travel, man. I gotta be able to travel, you know. Hit New York, man, every once in a while for some coffee, man, or go to Miami, man, for the beach. Other than that, man, I'm good.
Yes, sir.
I'm good, man.
All right, man. I appreciate it, man. This has been Small Talks.
Thank you. Appreciate you, bro.
Blessings, bro.